everyone, Anna here, and today I am going to take a look at Caverna, Cave versus Cave. In this two-player variant for Caverna from Wassenburg, you are going to try to build the most beautiful cave by adding all these rooms to it. Are you excited to see how it works? I am of course going to show it to you, all the components, and then I am going to tell you if I had any fun playing Caverna, Cave versus Cave. In Caverna, Cave versus Cave, you are going to try to build the most beautiful cave of all the caves and thereby win the game. Every round starts off by turning over the next action tile, whereby this action tile is going to be available from then on. At the beginning of the game, 4 action tiles are already available, and at the start of a round, like I said, you are going to turn over the next one. First off, we have the Excavate Action. With this, you are allowed to excavate one of your rooms and thereby having place to add a chamber. For 2 food, you can even excavate 2 rooms and you are going to get 1 stone for that. Let's see how this works. When excavating, you are going to take one of these tiles and it has to be adjacent to an already excavated room. So you're going to start with this at start of the game, so you are allowed to excavate this or this tile. When you excavate, you are going to turn it over and ta-da! And this is going to be a room and that is going to be added to the row of available rooms. Of course, you want to fill this newly excavated spot with a chamber, and this you are going to do with the chamber adding action. This is the symbol for adding a new room, and if you want to do that, you need 1 food per person. And these persons are going to be different for every phase of the game. In the first phase, you are going to have 2 persons, then 3, then 4, and these persons are for certain actions, like you see with adding a chamber, and they also say how many actions you are allowed to do. So in the second phase of the game you have 2, in the third phase you have 3 action tiles to take, and in the last one you have 4 actions to take to finish off your game. When adding a room, you are going to take one of the available rooms that are in the middle of the table. At the start of the game there are already some of them, and when excavating rooms, you and the other player are going to add them to the available rooms. When building a room, there's of course a room cost and there are certain conditions for building that room. So for building this room you have to have 1 to 3 walls surrounding it. And of course when you look at what we have already here, we do not have that yet. So we first have to build a wall. Let's see how we can do that. So with this action you are allowed to build a wall, and you are going to build it wherever you want to build it. So let's say we're going to build it right here because we want that so we can build that room that we just looked at. So now we do meet the conditions for building this room, so let's build the room. Like we already said, we need 1 food per person for that phase of the game, and then we are allowed to build a room. And if you want to build an extra room, it is going to cost you 5 food or 1 gold, and you can build an extra room. Now, we meet the prerequisite to build it, so now we are allowed to build it. Now that we build it, we do want to use the extra action that is on there. So let's take a look at how you are going to do that. Certain tiles like this one have an orange symbol with a number in it, and that number says how many actions on your tableau you are allowed to take. So with this one you are allowed to do 1 of your room actions. Let's say that we took this one to do our room action. Then we are now allowed to move all of our stuff that we have up by 1. How are we going to keep track of what we have? That we are going to do with this tracker. For every thing that we have a little wood cube, and we are going to push them around according to how much we are allowed to add because of an action or how much we are going to pay to do a certain thing. Everything except for the gold can go up to 9 and not any higher, so you have to watch out for that. And the gold can just go up, and you are going to turn it around so that the 10 shows, and then you are going to go even further. In the game there are some special rooms, and these rooms give you extra stuff when doing a certain action. With this one, when you build, you're also going to get 2 gold. So these blue rooms are not going to give you an action, but they are going to just give you extra stuff when doing other actions, and they're of course going to give you points. At the end of all 4 rounds, so when we turn over this last one, we of course are going to count up all of our points. And we are going to score points for every room that we have. There is a point total in the upper right corner, right over there, and you're going to get 1 point for every gold that you acquired. And that is going to be the total of your points, and the person, of course, that has the most points wins the game and has the most beautiful caverna of all caverns. So what did I think about the game? First of all, let's talk about the artwork. The artwork is of course the same that you see with Agricola and Caverna. It is a little bit cutesy and it just does the job. I did really like the track where you kept track of all the stuff that you have. That was pretty nice and it was an easy way. The only thing with the track that you have to be careful about is not to knock it a little bit over and just suddenly give yourself 2 extra gold. Oh, oopsie. Just like in Agricola and Caverna, you have this engine building going on. And the downside to this was that I did found it to be a little bit repetitive. I found in my first game, I found a strategy that worked pretty good for me, and in the second game, that strategy was again just the best strategy to take. So I would have liked to see a little bit more different rooms and stuff to make every game a little bit different. For me, it just felt a little bit repetitive. The difference between the orange and the blue rooms was pretty The difference between the orange and the blue rooms was a nice touch, with the blue rooms giving you a bonus for the actions that you are going to take, and the orange rooms that just gave you extra actions to do. And I really like that difference. I really like the building aspect in this game, with the conditions that you had to fulfill to be allowed to build a room and building those walls. And it was just a fun way to try to make it as efficient as possible, like thinking about what wall am I going to place right here to make sure that I can add as many rooms as possible right away. If you really like Caverna, this is a great 2-player version to have. But for me personally, it felt a little bit too repetitive, and it was just not interesting enough to capture my attention for more than a couple of games. That is going to be my opinion of Caverna Cave versus Cave.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.